We'll move on to item 2 on the agenda, which is presentations. The first presentation is regarding the development of the Northern Sacramento Valley Integrated Regional Water Management Plan. That's going to be presented by Mr. Gary Cupp, who represents the Shasta County Technical Advisory Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Good evening.
Members of the council. I'm here today to talk about the development of the Northern Sacramento Valley Integrated Water Management Plan, and primarily to encourage public involvement in the plan development. One of the requirements that the Department of Water Resources has placed on the development of this plan is to provide what's characterized as a directed outreach to what are called by definition disadvantaged communities, and those are any community within the area that has a median income that is 80% or less than that of the state median income. And for all intents and purposes, that is just about all of Northern California, with the exception of Sutter County, which is in our area of development. So with that, I would like to start out by asking a couple of questions. Are you concerned about safe and reliable water? Do you have a septic or sewer system? Do you enjoy water for ag use, recreational activities? Do you live in a floodplain? Are you interested in water-related environmental enhancements? And are you concerned about water resources in the Sacramento Valley? And if you can answer yes to any or all of these questions, then it's time to get involved and be a participant in this plan development process. I'm going to give you an overview, talk a little bit about the Water Master Plan basics. I'll give you some information on how the organization is structured, and then talk a little bit about the timeline for the development of the plan. The Integrated Regional Water Master Plan is a collaborative effort to manage all aspects of water resources in the region. And why do an integrated plan? Well, first and foremost, the watershed boundaries don't necessarily match either political or agency boundaries. It's an opportunity to formulate comprehensive and sustainable solutions for multiple stakeholders. It's a requirement of the California Water Plan, and it's a precursor to receiving funding from Proposition 84. And finally, and most importantly, it's just the right thing to do. In the development of the plan, there are 16 elements that the Department of Water Resources has said needs to be covered. There needs to be a section on governance. There needs to be a region description. What are your objectives? What are the resource management strategies? How are you going to integrate the plan? What's the plan project review process? What are impacts and benefits? How are you going to monitor the performance of the plan? What kind of data are you using? Where is it coming from? How are you financing it? What is the technical analysis that's been used to develop the plan? What's the relation to local water planning and local land use planning? And what kind of stakeholder involvement was used? And that's a part of what my presentation to you tonight is to encourage that stakeholder involvement. How is it going to be coordinated? And finally, how does it relate to the climate change issues that are out there? The piece on finance is pretty well been ironed out. The organizational piece has been ironed out. We are now working on stakeholder involvement. The benefits of the plan, pardon me, is a transparent leadership and a process that provides for everybody to get heard. It provides for a broader engagement in regional water issues, including disadvantaged communities and tribes. It's to coordinate and potentially receive funding to implement projects that will have region-wide benefits and not necessarily local or specific individual benefits. And finally, to communicate information related to water resources and resource management in the Northern Sacramento Valley. This is the boundary. You can see that pardon me, it covers Sutter, Glen, Colusa, Butte, Tehama, and the southern portion of Shasta County. It goes up as far as the city of Shasta Lake to the north, Bella Vista to the east, and thank you, and the western boundary of the county. The areas, Bernie, Fall River, are in the process of developing their own integrated plan. From an organizational standpoint, there is a board of governors. It's an 18-member board. There are 3 members from each of the 6 counties. In Shasta County, you're represented by Stan Wangberg, who's the general manager of ACID. He's the vice chair of the governing board. Supervisor Leonard Modi, Councilman Larry Farr from the city of Shasta Lake, and then Councilwoman MacArthur is the alternate for that board. The Technical Advisory Committee is made up of 15 regular members, and 2 would be characterized as ex officio members. There is a landowner representative and a staff representative from each county. For Shasta County, I am the landowner representative. I was appointed by the Board of Supervisors in July of this year, and Eric Wiedemeyer is the staff representative from Shasta County. There are 3 members at large that were selected by the governing board, and then there are 2 other members from the Department of Water Resources that sit on the Technical Advisory Committee, and they are not, they're participating members, but they're not appointed members. We like to say that all the work gets done at the TAC, and the guys on the governing board get to pound the gavel. The consultant that's helping us through this process is West Yost Consultants out of Sacramento. They're I guess the best way to characterize them is they're the lead agency that's helping us work through the process of the development of the plan. Again, the board is made of 18 members. They meet quarterly on the first Monday of each quarter. They're advised by us, and all of the meetings are conducted in accordance with the Brown Act for both the governing board and the Technical Advisory Committee. Meetings are noticed, public involvement's encouraged, and we follow all the rules and regulations that are required by the Brown Act. And one of the interesting aspects of the Technical Advisory Committee is that they've adopted a consensus method of moving issues from TAC to the board, which it's kind of an interesting process. It drives a lot of discussion and makes for some interesting negotiations, because the whole effort is to try to get everybody to nod this way and not nod that way. From a timeline standpoint, the plan needs to be developed and approved by October of 2013. It's a 2-year process. We're in phase 1 right now, which is preparing the outreach plan, having the stakeholder meetings, and doing a national data collection. Phase 2 is going to be more stakeholder meetings, but looking at data collection, looking at projects, developing a ranking criteria for how these projects are going to be ranked. And then, of course, phase 3 is the actual development of the plan and finalizing the drafts and moving the plan to the governing board for approval. In each one of the phases, there are going to be opportunities for public input. In phase 1, those meetings are going to be held starting tomorrow. There will be one in Oroville from 9 to 11 at the Feather River Tribal Health Auditorium. There will be a second tomorrow in Red Bluff at the Red Bluff Community Service Center, and then on Thursday there will be a third meeting in Colusa at the Colusa Indian Community Council. And this meeting will also be webcast. There's information, if people would like to sign up, they can contact Vicki Newland at either that phone number or the web address. In phase 2, there will be a similar set of meetings to take a look at the projects themselves, and in Phase 3 there will be another set of public meetings to review the draft plan. We have a pretty nice website at www.nsvwaterplan.org. It's very similar to the website that was put together by the North Coast folks. It's got some really interesting maps that look at water resources, aquifers, land use. It's a pretty cool website. And then finally, for those of you in the audience tonight, there's an information sheet about the plan development in the kiosk to the right of the entrance doors where the agendas are, and then there is a questionnaire that I would encourage you to fill out that's in the kiosk to the left of the doors as you go out. And of course I provided a copy of the questionnaire for each one of the members of the council and hope that you will fill it out. This is all about trying to find out what your issues and concerns are about all aspects of water use in Northern California, and the public input is requested and hopefully will be provided. And with that, if council has any questions, I'd be happy to try and answer them for you.
Yeah, Mr. Cupp, I was noticing as you went through the meeting schedule, there was no meeting in the city of Redding. Redding is easily far and away the largest city in this district. Why wouldn't you have a meeting in the city of Redding?
Because we tried to centralize them by location.
With regard to population centers?
It's highly probable that there will be a meeting in Redding in either Phase 2 or Phase 3. For the first set of meetings, there's not a meeting in Chico either, I might add. But they did try to center, they tried to center them by geography and not necessarily by population.
Red Bluff and Redding. You know, and nothing against Red Bluff other than the fact that it's like 16,000 people. And we're 90,000 people here. It would be a lot easier for a few of them to come up here as opposed to many going down there. I just don't understand that. I better hold my tongue.
Mr. Jones.
Thank you, Mr. Cupp. You did talk about financing. Where is your financing coming from?
It's coming from a Prop 84 grant, planning and development grant. It was applied for. The startup grant was a grant that Reclamation 108 got. That's how we got started, and then our final grant for the development of the plan has come through Prop 84.
What amount was that? Do you remember?
I think it's about $1,900,000 to $1,100,000.
Thank you.
We have one speaker's request. I'll ask a question, and then Mr. Cadd has a comment he wants to make. What's the statutory authority that establishes the plans, and what will the effect be once the plan has been adopted by the committee? What authority goes with that in terms of water use within the particular district?
The plan itself is, I don't believe that it's a non-binding plan. It's one where you take a look at what the projects are out there, and it's a precursor or a requirement, a box that you have to check in order to qualify for receiving any of the remaining $47 million of Prop 84 money that's available for a variety of water projects. You've got to have an integrated regional plan to qualify.
I spoke on this issue before the County Board of Supervisors last week, and at that time I was mentioning that this Northern Sacramento Valley Integrated Regional Transportation Water Management Plan, almost got it out, is a non-government organization, which actually it is. But what I want to do is Mr. Cupp has gone through and shown you the what was on the county's page here. So I think I will go from that and close that and step forward here to this page here. This is something that a friend of mine and I have put together, and we have gone to their site, and it's a good site. Mr. Cupp is right. There is a lot of stuff on it. One thing, all these websites that you find here all have information on their site. And when you start reading it, it's really interesting when you start reading what some of the ramifications might be for us as far as this water plan that's going forward. And especially I would bring forward, excuse me for walking away, but this one right here which says finance. I did not bring the file with me to put up, but it's quite a long file, and it does give you all of the funding sources that this plan is doing. But one of the reasons that I stepped forward to the County Board of Supervisors was that in their paperwork it talks about the Shasta County Water Agency and their Board of Directors. Their Board of Directors are the 5 Board of Supervisors. It's my contention that this is another issue that needs to have city members, Reading, Shasta Lake, and Anderson on this board. And it's also under the direction of the Public Works Director. Well, something came to mind while I was thinking of the Public Works Director. I mentioned to the County Board of Supervisors on department heads and who they work for with the county. Well, it seems the department heads actually work for, as we can see right here, under E, they work at the pleasure of the Board of Supervisors. Well, I wasn't getting a good feeling of accountability and transparency on these water issues because this is part of the Climate Action Plan in SBX77 that's going to come up here in the next meeting or so on. So this water issue is very dangerous and where we're going at, and we need to have the people involved in what's going on. And we also need to find out from the Board of Supervisors, they tell me they're not the Public Works Director's boss, that the CAO over at the county is. CAO says no, they're the boss. Well, we can see quite clear here that the Board of Supervisors as a whole is the head of Public Works. And I think that you folks, for us, for transparency and accountability and love of the county, that we need to move forward and put a member from this body and a member from the other 2 city bodies on this water issue, on this water agency, because this issue is going to blow up. It's really going to get out of sight. I know I've gone over and I apologize.
Okay, thank you. Mr. John Dixon wanted to speak.
Mayor Dickerson, City Council, staff, fellow citizens, I'm here basically for the same issue that Gary just talked to. The Shasta County Water Agency is extremely important to us. It's going to be controlling a good bit of the water resources that are going to flow through this county. The cities are not represented on the Shasta County Water Agency, none of them. We need Reading, Shasta Lake City, and Anderson all represented on that board. It's a sad fact that the County Board of Supervisors didn't know that they were in charge of this committee. They thought that the Public Works, the head of the Public Works was in charge of it, and he thought they were in charge of it, and Larry Lees knew that the county was, and something has to be done to grab this thing in control and take care of it. We need to be represented. I'd like to see somebody from the City Council on that board, and that's really what I'm speaking to right now. Thank you.
Thank you. Perhaps we could have Mr. Starman at some time contact the county and see what the situation is. Statutorily, are they allowed to have other members on the
Mr. Mayor?
committee and so forth? Yes, ma'am.
I just wanted to comment on the fact that Mr. Cupp did address the fact that Mr. Larry Farr is on that panel, and I'm an alternate. Mr. Crane and myself have attended some of these meetings, so indirectly we have representation.
Okay.
Just real quickly, it's not agendized, so I'll be brief, and we'll move on to other topics. This is an information topic, but we kind of have two boards in question tonight.
Same.
Mr. Catt and Mr. Dixon were referring to a slightly different body, which is the Board of Directors of the Shasta County Water Agency. Mr. Cupp, of course, is referring to this newer governing body. So Mr. Catt and I had a conversation about this just a few days back, and I told him I would chat with Mr. Lees and gain a better understanding, so I'll do that and report back to the council as needed.
Okay, thank you. We have a third gentleman who wanted to speak. I'm thinking it's Peter, but I can't read the last.
Peter Scales, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Came in and I didn't know what was going on. I support Gary. I'm very involved in water. I used to be a nice person until I got involved with water. And I'm sure I've been to a couple of meetings. Patrick was there, down there at the McConnell Foundation, and a lot of suits and a lot of hot air. And I just cannot believe this state of California. We got 75% of the water flowing into the ocean, and all we're concerned about is saving the fish. The most endangered species in California is the white Anglo-Saxon, and I sure hope when it's our turn there's as much effort put into saving us as they are in the fish. But having had 6 years dealing with one man who I don't like, the Director of Public Works, I went in there a nice guy prepared to get water, and having lied to me for years that there was no water to be had, I got my own water. Spent $57,000 bringing it to my street 1,000 feet with the next door neighbour. I dealt with this man for 6 years, and I will have my day in the sun. The pipes are going in the ground now for a $10 million project, which started with my project. What we've been through, nobody should have to go through with the water situation. And why I mention this is there is one man in charge of the whole of Shasta County water. Now, I don't care whether it's Dick, who I don't particularly like, or Patrick, who I love. Being one person in charge of water, or even my mate Kurt there, who maybe, but having one person in charge of Shasta County water is just so wrong. It is so un-American. And I don't care if it was Jesus Christ himself. One man should not be in charge and have so much power over people's lives. It has to be people. You guys have to get involved in this. I don't know where all this is going. All I know is the solution is very simple. Let's build a few dams.
Thank you. I have an additional request from Patricia Heinzen.
As Ms. Heinzen comes to the podium, just for the record, I know the council's aware of this, but Mr. Scales referred to the Director of Public Works several times. He's referring to the Director of Public Works for Shasta County as opposed to Mr. Crane.
Yeah, that's right. Very close.
Clarity. This is I'm just not sure why we need this management plan. What is wrong with the current way our water is being managed? So it's going to have to be made abundantly clear to the public in these meetings, and I hope to both the City Council and the Board of Supervisors. I'm looking forward to getting that full explanation of all those 16 elements of the program tomorrow, but I would urge you to not put any kind of stamp of approval on this if the only justification we've heard so far is that we've got $1.1 million grant. And we need to do that in order to get $47 million more. That just makes no sense to me whatsoever. Thank you.
Thank you. I would only comment that it appears that the process is to attempt to make available to this region some of the money that's available for water projects. That's the goal, to get it done. And going through a process to identify projects and evaluate process seems to make sense to me.